this is a second part from last time, and I'll tell you more. And one of the feedback which I got last time was some of you did not understand the meaning of coping. So I just wanted to tell you coping simply means handling, managing, dealing, surmounting, overcoming. So these are the synonyms for coping. So coping simply means dealing with it or managing or surmounting. Okay. Um, Hopes for the session. I put the slide each time. My hope is to give you a buffet, like a menu of different techniques. And my wish is for seeding some ideas into your mind in the hope that it will grow. Every idea won't fit with everybody. You need to find out what resonates with you or what connects with you. Okay. Now, certain ground rules. What I wanted to say was I will not ask you whether you understood it, because last time I kept asking that and I was losing time in the session. So I won't ask you. I shall just assume that you understood all my psychobabble and my jargon. And if you're silent, I will just assume that you understood it. If you don't understand, please do ask. And if you put your videos on, I am not going to pick you or target you or ask any questions. So relax and take the stress out. I'm not going to pick anybody and ask questions. So just relax and enjoy the presentation. Okay. And if I get a sense that my session is pitched a little too high and the content is heavy or something, let me know. I'll stop it and we can just have a Q&A session, like a question and answer session. You ask me questions and I'll answer. If you think the slides are a bit too heavy or incomprehensible, cannot understand, if I get that sense, I'll stop. Otherwise, I'll go through all the slides. Last week, I had too many slides. I had around 50 to 60 slides. Today, I've kept only 30. So I've made my session a little more, what is it, manageable and a little more lighter this time. Okay. And last time, there was a person called Andrew Panikir who asked me to do anger management today. But what has happened is I have spoken to Satish, who's your Grained coordinator, Grained leader, and he suggested that we stick to the topic. Whatever is the topic, whatever has been pre-arranged, we just continue with that, and we can do anger management on a different date later on, maybe. So I'm continuing with coping with failure. So if Andrew Panikar is there in the audience, please bear with me. It'll not be anger management. If you've come thinking it's going to be that, it's not. The other thing is, last week my session was said to be a little too heavy. So I'm going to go backward. What I mean backward is, instead of going forward, I'm going to go to the foundation, to the basics. We call it going to the brass tacks, to the nitty gritty, to the nuts and bolts. So I'm going to the basics today, and let's see how the session goes. This is the first time I'm doing something like this. Let me know how it is so that I can change it accordingly next time. Pitch it higher or pitch it lower or whatever. I need your feedback to know whether this is the right pitch for the session. And the ideas which I'll be putting forth will be sort of general ideas. There will always be exceptions. We all know that there is no one single formula for the whole world. For 6 billion people on this planet Earth, there is not one glove fits all or one universal formula. So I'm giving some general techniques or strategies or principles, but there will always be exceptions. Okay, you may think, oh, this doesn't connect with me, or I don't agree with this. That's fine. That's not a problem. Everything is not for everybody. Okay, so these are the basic things. Now we'll move on. Now, I live in England, and when we go to buy a house, there are three things we need to look for: location, location, location. Yeah, so this is what your desk space needs to look like. Not too comfortable. If it's too comfortable, you tend to go horizontal. I know if I'm too comfortable, I tend to feel sleepy or not so interested. So don't make it too cozy and too comfortable. I said not too comfortable. It needs to be comfortable, but not too much that you sort of uh, doze off. It needs to be a dedicated space. You need to have a study space, not sitting in your bed and eating and studying and everything. A dedicated space for your studies, which is important. Be organized and have a to-do list, because when you're organized, you feel on top of things. Like when you're organized, you have your pen, pencil, book, rough paper for scribbling things, your little snack, your water, your tea, all that. Otherwise, you'll be going in between for picking these things up. So be organized so that you can focus and get on with you. You even save time if you're organized. Good lighting. This is very important so that you don't spoil your eyes. And quiet, it needs to be a quiet space. Or if it is music, I don't want you to put on rock music or heavy metal music or something which goes bang bang. Something light like instrumental music without lyrics is preferable, because if there are lyrics, you tend to focus on the lyrics. So it's best to put some instrumental music. It even relaxes you. It also helps with relaxation, and it also helps with focus and concentration. Yeah. So that's important. And switch off the phone. You don't want your phone to be pinging with messages, with WhatsApp messages or Facebook messages or Twitter messages. So switch off your phone and no distractions. Stay away from the TV. When you're focused on your studies, focus on your studies. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is no gain without pain. This simply means, the meaning of this is, there is no shortcut to hard work. Yeah. And your dreams will not be realized if you don't put effort into it. Try your best. This simply means you have to put in your best effort, and then what happens is what you live with. At least you don't have to live with regret if you have put in your best. Last week, if you remember, I had put a slide of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in which I had told that self-actualization is what you need to do. Self-actualization simply means bringing out your best potential, whatever you're meant to be, your best potential. That is all. Try your best.
There's a request to show the previous slide again.
Previous slide, that is no gain without pain.
Must be. Pradeep, which one you meant?
The books, ma'am.
Which one?
Second slide, so. Second one.
The location.
Yeah, locations.
This one.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. I have brought it back up again. I'm glad you asked. What did you want from this slide? Did you want to scribble?
Yeah, just explain it again, ma'am. Go a little slow.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah. So this, what I meant is location is, I live in England, and when we go to buy a house in England, there are three things we look for. First is location, second is location, third is location. So I just put the title location, simply saying that the space, your desk space, needs to be like this, what I have mentioned there. It should not be too comfortable that you doze off or you feel sleepy or you get so relaxed that you can't be bothered to study. Dedicated space means you have to have a study space which is meant for studying, not for other things. It is meant for studying, that it's ring fenced for studying. Organized, I mentioned your snacks, your water, your pen, pencil, textbooks, everything, headphones if you want headphones, light, all that, so that you can get the most of the time that you spend. You're not going in between to get pencil, pen, this, that, forgot this, forgot that. So organization is helpful because it saves time. And you can have a to-do list so that you have things to tick off. I cannot work without lists, otherwise I forget, because I've got so many things to do. I have my little list of things to do. So keep your little list of things to do. So get organized, good lighting so that you don't spoil your eyes. Music, when I meant music, what I meant was not heavy metal or rock or anything of that sort. Gentle instrumental music helps. It helps with relaxation. It helps with feeling less stressed, and it helps with feeling calm. So it can help. Some people prefer to study quietly without any sound. Some people like music. I prefer music, but I put light instrumental music. I don't put with lyrics because I tend to start listening to the lyrics if I put songs on. So I put gentle instrumental music. And then I said switch off the phone because we don't want pinging and messages and from Facebook, WhatsApp. So switch off your phone, no distractions. Has that made sense? Shall I move on? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no gain without pain. This simply means there is no shortcut to hard work. There is no way you can achieve your dreams without putting hard work in. And try your best. Last time I had talked in the last session, which I presented, I had talked of, I don't know whether you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You don't have to remember the fancy names. You just remember the word self-actualization. Self-actualization simply means bringing out your best potential. You become the best person you're capable of being. Okay. So try your best. At least you don't have to live with regret. Oh, I did not try my best. At least when you try your best, even if whatever is the outcome, you feel good that you have tried your best. Yeah. Now, a success, you have to remove from your dictionary the word I can't do it. You can succeed. You're a pelican, not a pelican. Um, it simply means believe in yourself, that you're able to achieve it. Cut out the T from the can't. You can do it. I want each one of you to believe that you can do it. Self-belief is very important. There are many ways of skinning a cat. This is just an idiom. Yeah. Idiom means, it simply means there are many ways of going to the same destination. If there is a goal, yeah, if you want to reach somewhere, um, Pradeep might take a different route, and Indu might take a different route, Satish might take a different route. So there is not one single route to the destination. There are many different routes to the destination. There are many different ways you can do the same thing. Okay. It's not one single way of doing it. You need to find out what's the best way for you. How will you reach your destination, and what is your journey? So you understood what I meant, isn't it? There are many ways of skinning a cat. Simply means there are many routes or many roads to the same destination. Multiple intelligences. Now, if you ask me, I will say that our education system, not just in Kerala, even in the UK, I live in England, even here, the education system is geared towards people who are mathematically good and good in languages, linguistically and mathematically good. So that is how our education system rates children. And I want us to take back this message today, that there are different kinds of intelligences. There may be a person who's very mathematically good, but not good at music, and a person who's a failure in school, but an extremely good musician or a composer. Um, shall I tell you the different types of intelligences? Shall I explain the musical
Yes,
intelligence?
yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, the musical intelligence, the music smart people are usually the people who can understand intonations, rhythm, music patterns well. And they are the kind of people who usually go into singing, composing, they become the composers, singers, that kind of a thing. Kinesthetic, you can see kinesthetic, the red bit. Body smart, they are the people who are good with spatial awareness, and they are good at dancing, they become dancers, sportsmen. Okay. Then the people who are picture smart, visual, can you see the visual, picture smart? Those are the
Yeah,
kind of
ma'am.
people who go into cinematography or photography, that kind of a thing. You can see that I love visual learning. You'll see pictures in every slide of mine because I am a visual learner. So there are different kinds of learning. I'll come to that in the next slide. And self-smart. Self-smart means you are self-aware. You know your own emotions, and you're good at understanding yourself. These are the kind of people who become spiritual leaders, philosophers, the Dalai Lamas of the world. Yeah. And then nature smart. The nature smart is the green bit there. The nature smart people are people who are very good with the environment, leaves, animals, insects. And they are the kind of people who go into zoology, botany, geology, or they also, some people go into farming, organic farming, that kind of a thing. Now, logic smart and word smart, that is what is tested by most of the IQ tests. If you take an IQ test and you get 120 or 130 and you're a genius or brilliant, usually the test tests mathematical ability and linguistic language ability. So the IQ test does not always measure musical ability or kinesthetic ability. So in a way, the IQ test is, according to me, flawed. Means it doesn't test all the different kinds of intelligences. What I want you guys to, all of you to take home, the message I want you to take home from this slide is there are different kinds of intelligences, there are different strengths. A fish cannot climb a tree, can it? The metaphor I want to bring here is a fish cannot climb a tree. Similarly, there are different, a fish can swim, but it cannot climb a tree. So people have different strengths and you need to work on your strengths and find out what you're really good at. Everybody is not meant to be an engineer or a doctor, because in Kerala, I have found that most parents push their children to become either engineer or doctor. That's it. There are no other professions they can think of. So I think everybody is not meant to become a literarian or a grammarian or a mathematician or a doctor or an engineer. There are so many different professions, as long as you're happy doing what you do and are successful. So get that into your mind, that we have different abilities and different strengths. Yeah. At the end of the session, we'll have more time to discuss, because today I'm keeping my session short so that we have more time for questions and answers at the end. There are different learning styles too. Can you see there in the slide? You can see. Hello.
We can see, ma'am.
Yeah. So there are different learning styles. Visual means a person who learns better from seeing things like charts, diagrams, pictures, PowerPoint. I'm a visual learner, but it's not mutually exclusive. You can be everything. It doesn't have to be just one. You can be a visual learner and a kinesthetic learner and an auditory learner. So auditory learners do better by hearing, by listening to podcasts or YouTube videos or listening to the teachers in the class, that kind of a thing. And for people who are auditory learners, like who learn by listening, it helps to read aloud. Sometimes they take a book and read aloud so that they can hear it. Or they have a study buddy, like a study group in which they discuss and learn. Have you all understood this, or do you want me to repeat it again? So
Once again, you repeat, ma'am.
Once again, okay. There are different kinds of learners. Visual learners are people who learn better through graphs, charts, PowerPoints, pictures, images, yeah, by seeing things. The people who are auditory learners are people who learn better by hearing things from the lectures in the class, from YouTube videos, or from podcasts, or from reading aloud, or by discussing with friends. You can have a study buddy group, a study group in which you discuss with friends. So that kind of a thing, auditory. Kinesthetic learners are people who like to do things and learn. By practice, they learn. By doing things, they are experiential learners, like by doing things they learn, rather than by hearing or by watching. It does, as I mentioned earlier, it's not one or the other. It's not mutually exclusive. You can be a little bit of many different things. You can have your own method of learning. Whatever is best for you, you need to find out what's your best method of learning. When I learn, I tend to color code. I tend to use marker pens and mark and color code it. I actually mutilate the book. I mark and color code it, so I can concentrate better when I'm marking. I scribble and I write bullet points, so that makes it easy for me to learn. I sometimes listen to podcasts by putting headphones on. So there are different kinds of learning. You need to find out, I can't tell you, you need to find out which is your best style of learning and which makes you study the best or learn the best. Yeah. Now, study methods, mnemonics. Mnemonics, I put a example there. That is what a mnemonic is. You can make your little mnemonics for studying. My very educated mother just served us noodles. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. So if you have this kind of a mnemonic, you remember the order of the planets. My very
Easy to
educated
remember,
mother.
ma'am.
Sorry?
Easy to remember it.
Yeah, easy to remember. Yeah. So mnemonics make it easy to remember. So these are little techniques you can use for remembering certain things. And acronyms can be used. Acronyms are different from mnemonics. I will come to it in the next slide. Acronym is like UN is for United Nations. So that is an acronym, UN. Similarly, UK is an acronym for United Kingdom, or that kind of a thing. So acronym is different from mnemonics. I'll come to it in the next slide. So there are some study methods. You can use flashcards. You can see that I have got flashcards in my hand. These are flashcards in which I've put little points for today's presentation to remind me certain bullet points. So these are flashcards. So if you have little flashcards, you can put definitions, little bullet points, little things which you want to remember, some formulae, mathematical formulae. So you can have little flashcards in a box so that in the end, when you're revising, you can use these little flashcards for revising. And study buddy, you can have see, some people study better on their own, and some people prefer having a study buddy. I prefer studying on my own. Yeah. But some people prefer study buddies and discussion and everything. So you need to find out what works best for you. If you're going to sit with your study buddy and sit and chat or gossip and not study, then it doesn't work. So you need to find a study buddy who you can study with. Of course, you need breaks. You need some breaks, not all the time studying, but it should be productive. So you can have a study buddy. You can teach. Teaching is a very good way of consolidating or remembering what you have learned. Ask anybody, ask Satish, who is a teacher, ask other teachers of yours. They learn a lot by teaching. So if you have learned something and you're teaching it to a friend, you learn better by teaching it to somebody else. It gets fixed in your mind. So you can teach what you've learned. You can make notes, bullet points. I've already said that earlier on. And take breaks. Don't study continuously. It becomes not productive. Take small breaks, not like 15 minutes of studying and 3 hours of break. It should be the other way around. A couple of hours of studying and a small break. So the break should be small and the study should be a bigger chunk. So take breaks in between so that you come back to your studies charged up and wanting to do it again, not fed up or bored. And cramming is not effective. Cramming is like mugging. You need to understand what you're studying. Just cramming is of no use. So this, I told you in the previous slide that I will be putting a slide on acronyms and mnemonics. So this is the difference between acronym and mnemonic. You've seen this, haven't you? Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. That's VIBGYOR. But this is a mnemonic. Richard of York gave battle in vain. Richard, R is for red. O, off is for orange. York, Y is for yellow. G, gave, is for green. B, battle, is for blue. In is for indigo. And V, vain, is for violet. So this is the difference between acronym and mnemonic. For the colors of the rainbow, you can have an acronym, which is VIBGYOR, or you can have a mnemonic, which is Richard of York gave battle in vain. Yeah. Do I need to slow down further? Am I too fast? Now.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. So this is owl versus lark. We all know that owls are night birds. Yeah. And lark is a morning bird. So some people study better at night and some people are owls and some people are larks. They study better in the morning. You need to find out, when is your concentration best? Are you an owl or are you a lark? Do you study better at night or do you study better in the morning? You need to find out. I can tell you about myself. I'm a lark. I am up by 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. Crazy hours when people are lying in bed. I'm up and about. Even in winter when it's cold, I'm up early in the morning. So I'm a lark. I study best in the morning and I learn better in the morning. By evening, my energy has gone down and my voltage has gone down. And so you need to find out which fits with you. Are you an owl or are you a lark? And when is the best time for you to study? Now you've seen this film, Three Idiots. In this, Rancho was a hero, wasn't it? Amir Khan. And Rancho has said this quote, which I have put here, is from Three Idiots. Learning is not simply about memorizing, it is about understanding. And when you understand, you don't forget it easily because you have actually internalized it. You have actually understood it properly. So don't cram, don't just memorize, don't just by heart it. Understand what you're learning. Now, preparation. What I mean by preparation is that's Abraham Lincoln's slide, which says, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. How poignant that is, how meaningful. What preparation means is you need to work backwards, in the sense, suppose you have 1 month for your study leave, and after 1 month you have your exam. You work backwards. I've got 1 month, I've got so many days, I've got 25 chapters. So I'll do 1 chapter for 25 days, and the last 5 days I will do revision. So organize and plan so that you use your time effectively. So that is what I meant by preparation. This is just a fancy term, law of diminishing returns. This simply means doing just more and more and more does not always give better results. You need to know when to stop and how to bring out your best potential. Now, this example I have put is of a plant in which you pour water. If you keep pouring more and more and more water into the plant, what will happen? The plant is most likely going to die because the roots will get waterlogged and the soil will get waterlogged and it'll die. So more and more and more doesn't always give better and better and better results. You need to know when to stop and how to bring your best potential. It has to be balanced, not just study 24 hours. You need a break, you need some fun, you need to eat well, you need to sleep well, all that. It'll decrease your stress, it'll be relaxing, you'll enjoy your studying. Yeah, so law of diminishing returns simply means more and more is not going to give better and better and better results. So you need to know how much effort you need to put in. Some people may need to put in 5 hours of effort, some people may need to put in 6 hours of effort, and some people may need only 1 or 2 hours of effort. Doesn't matter. You need to find out what's your capacity and how much effort you're willing to put in to get through to your goals. Repetition is the mother of all learning. The reason I put this slide is, see, we don't have a photographic memory. We don't have an eidetic memory or a photographic memory. We can't remember everything after reading just once. We need to revise. Revision is important to consolidate and to make it fixed in your mind. So revision is very important. Even very, very bright people need to revise. Even naturally clever, brilliant people need to revise, because when you're in smaller classes like KG, kindergarten, second standard, third standard, it may be enough. But when you go to higher classes, you need revision. Even if you're brilliant and naturally clever, you need to revise. Yeah. Time management is important. How you use your time. Now, time is a universal leveler. What I mean by universal leveler is, whether you're Bill Gates or whether you are Narendra Modi or Obama or Trump or whoever you are, you get only 24 hours in a day. It is one thing which is common to 6 billion people on this planet Earth, 24 hours in a day. You don't get more than 24 hours in a day. Nobody gets more than 24 hours in a day. Yeah. So that is a universal leveler, and you need to be sure about what you want to use your time for. So that's what I have put in this. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you are the pilot of your time. Prioritization. This slide I put simply because all of us are busy with something or the other, aren't we? But we need to decide what we want to be busy with. It's not enough to be just busy, because even the ants are busy. The question is, what are we busy with? If we are busy spending our time doing frivolous, flippant activities, we are whiling our life away. We are wasting our life away. So we need to be sure what we want to spend our 24 hours. It's a gift. The 24 hours we get every day is a gift. So what do we want to spend our time on? Prioritize. Make a list of what is most important for you in your life and how you want to fill up your time with. Assertiveness. Assertiveness simply means saying no nicely. Now, if you were very passive, you can see the person who's passive, he is all, what to say, frazzled and stressed, and the person who's passive just goes along with other people. Even when he wants to say no, he says yes, and then he's not happy doing what he did not want to do. So he's not happy. The aggressive person gets angry, but the assertive person is smiling. Assertiveness simply means learning to say no in a nice way. The example I can give is, if you're sitting and studying, yeah, if Yogesh or Aryan or Pradeep or Akhila, if you're sitting and studying and someone says, oh, come on, let's go for a film, or let's go to Costa Coffee for a coffee, and you want to finish a certain amount of work, you have put that as your target, as your goal, and you tell them, no, I'm sorry, I can't come today, but maybe some other time, next time when you go, please call me, I'll come, but today I want to finish off something. So it's just saying no nicely, because you need to know your priorities and you need to be assertive. Otherwise, if you're very passive, you end up doing a disservice to yourself. So you become unhappy because you come back and think, oh, I should not have gone. Why did I say yes? I should have said no. Why on earth did I go with them? I've lost 5 hours of my time. How will I get that time now? Tomorrow is my test. So you don't want to have that regret. So learn to say no nicely for the right reasons, okay? For the correct reasons. Yeah. Goal. I have put goal. This is a film which had won a lot of awards in the past. I think it was 1994, if I'm not mistaken, Forrest Gump. And I have put a quote from Forrest Gump saying, if you don't know where you are going, you will probably not wind up there. It simply means if you're just drifting, if you're just passively drifting through life, you will reach somewhere, but it may not be a place where you want to reach. So if you want to reach somewhere, you need to map it out where you want to reach. You need a goal. I'm sure you'll reach somewhere in life. If you don't have a goal, you'll reach somewhere, but it may not be the place you want to be. It may be a place you don't want to be in. So it's better to know where you want to go in life and how to reach there. It's your goal. You're in the driver's seat of the car, not in the passenger seat. You're the script writers of your life. You're the authors of your life. It's your life, it's your journey, it's your goals. You need to find out what it is. Again, this is again from Forrest Gump, and that is Forrest's mother, Mrs. Gump. And Forrest asks his mother, it's not for me to tell you what your journey is. You need to figure it out yourself, where you want to go and how you'll reach there, what help you need and what effort you need to reach there. This is a word which I like, ikigai. It's a word from Japanese. And have you seen the this thing there, the diagram, the figure there? Spend a little bit of time looking at it, and I think you'll understand what it means. Your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession, if all of them coincide, the center bit is ikigai. It's very fulfilling when your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession, when all of them coincide, it's very fulfilling. I can tell you a little bit about myself. If you look at this bit here, what you're good at, I'm good at connecting with people. I'm empathic. I care about the children I see. So I'm good at that, and that's my passion. And what you love to do, I love to do the work which I do. And if you look at it, it pays me because that's my job. I get a monthly salary doing what I enjoy doing. So it's my profession too. And what the world needs, I feel the world needs a bit of compassion. It's going down on compassion. All of them fit together. I have come across people who are so unhappy in their jobs, so unhappy. Every day is a struggle because they want to quit their job, but they can't because they need the money. So it will be so nice if you enjoy what you're doing and get paid for it. Have you looked at that figure? Is there any question you want to ask me on this?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So ikigai, there is an island in Japan in which people live for 102 years and 103 years. They have a long lifespan because they are practicing ikigai, and they are very, very fulfilled and happy in lives because they are in harmony with outside, inside, environment. They are in harmony, no stress, nothing, because everything is congruent and everything it fits. This is something again, similar to what I said earlier on, ikigai. If you find a job you enjoy doing, You will never have to work a day in your life, by Mark Twain. It simply means the same thing which I told earlier. If you enjoy doing it, it doesn't feel like work. I have been doing my job, child psychiatry, for more than 20 years now, and psychiatry for more than 35 years. I still enjoy reading my subject. I still enjoy reading the books. It's fun for me. I don't see it as work. So if you enjoy doing it, it's never a chore. You don't feel like procrastinating, avoiding, not doing it, or getting stressed about it. You just enjoy it. For me, reading a storybook or a novel and reading my subject is the same. I enjoy my subject just as much as I enjoy reading a storybook. So what I'm saying is, if you enjoy doing what you're doing, it doesn't feel like stress. Enjoy your subject, whatever you're studying. Now, this simply means focus on your strengths. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Focus on your strength. When life gives you lemon, there is no point in making apple juice, is there? You're going against the grain, you're swimming against the tide. So when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. It is as simple as that. Focus on your strength. Each one of you, Akila, Pradeep, Aryan, Elizabeth, all of you have your own strengths, what you're good at. Focus on that and consolidate that and harness that. So that is where you need to focus your energies. A little bit about dyslexia. All of you may have seen this film Tare Zameen Par. Now, Tare Zameen Par, that little boy there is Ishan. He's got dyslexia. He's a very talented and bright chap, but he can't read properly. He can't spell properly. The words get jumbled up on the page. And he's very accomplished as an artist. He's a very good artist. He's very creative, very right-brained rather than left-brained. And his father is a high-flying executive, and his elder brother is a high achiever. And he is sent to a boarding school because they think he's lazy, he doesn't study, he doesn't perform, he fails. So his teachers are also very negative about him. His father is very negative about him, and he's sent to a boarding school. And he's very sad, he's very upset. And this amazing teacher comes, his name is Nikumb, that is Amir Khan. He comes and he understands this boy, and he understands he's got dyslexia and supports him and encourages him and brings out the best in him. So what I'm trying to say is dyslexia means you can be good in one area, but you may struggle in maths or language or spelling or reading, but it should not come in the way of your success. It should not. Don't allow it to stop you. These are the famous dyslexics. You can see Steve Jobs is a dyslexic. You can see that. The black person there is Whoopi Goldberg. She's a film actress. She's dyslexic. In the right corner, there is Winston Churchill. There is Prince Harry. So those people did not allow their dyslexia to come in the way. So even if you have some difficulties in reading or spelling or mathematics or something like that, don't allow it to stop you. Keep going. You can be successful nevertheless. On the right side, I have put a quote, and this person is a Prime Minister of Norway, and she has said, I could not spell. I myself cannot spell. I have never been able to spell. I do not pay any attention to spelling and mixed letters. And she was the Prime Minister of Norway. So don't allow anything like that, any small learning difficulties to come in the way. You can succeed in other areas. You can succeed nevertheless. Now about a little bit about just a brief bit on stress. These mountains that you're carrying, you were supposed to climb. So that is what stress is about. Don't carry it in your head. You have to surmount it. You have to go on the other side. You have to leave it behind. You shouldn't be carrying this big burden of stress on your head. I think I have already explained to you in your last lesson last week about how positive thinking can help and how thinking can affect your feelings and how you can work on reducing your stress. Yeah. Find what you're good at, focus on your strengths, know your goals and destination, be organized, prepare, revise, spend time wisely, have some fun, take breaks, just balance out your life and be congruent. Let your goal be your goal, not somebody else's goal, because sometimes if you're doing it for somebody else, your parents or your teachers, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you're doing that and you're deeply unhappy, it causes stress. If this is not what you want to do and somebody else is putting pressure on you, so your aim should never be I want to be the first in the class. I feel your aim should be try your best. Try your best. And then whatever is the outcome is the outcome. You have done your best. That's it. And if you get 70, 80, 90, 100, that's fine. But do your best, whatever your best is. This is a fancy term. It simply means happiness. And it is an Aristotle philosopher, Aristotelian term. It simply means happiness, but it is more than happiness. It can't be defined. It's not happiness. It is when everything, when you come to peace with yourself, when everything, it's like something like ikigai, the Japanese word I told about earlier on. When everything comes in harmony, your environment, your mind, your body, your ambition, your goal, everything gets aligned, you feel content and at peace. It is something to strive for. You may be too young at this age to be getting to this stage. It may be something you need to strive for in future. But I love this word, eudaimonia. It simply means blessedness. It's more than happiness. Now, points to remember. I told you earlier on, you need a goal, you need a destination, and it's your journey. You need to find out what it is. You need to identify your strengths. I did mention earlier, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade, not apple juice. So if that's your strength, focus on your strengths. Love your subject. If you love your subject, you enjoy it. Hard work. There is no shortcut to hard work. Put in your hard work. Then you have, at least you don't have to live with the regret that I didn't try hard enough. Believe in yourself. Very, very, very important. There are options always. When one door closes, another opens. It's not that there are no options. It's not just one single thing. You're so fixed on one single thing. If you put all eggs in one basket and if it breaks, everything is gone. It's not like that. There are other options. There are so many ways of skinning the cat. There are so many routes to the same destination. There are so many ways you can reach to the same goal. So there are always options. And definition of success. I have a different yardstick or a different measurement for measuring success. Being in Wikipedia or being a celebrity is not necessarily success. They can be seen as successful, but they can be, you can be Jeff Bezos of Amazon and be the richest person in the world and be miserable. You know, so for me, I've got a gentler yardstick of measuring success. For example, the example I use is of my grandmother. She died at the age of 102. She lived till 102. Amazing, admirable lady. She was only 10 standard. She studied only up to 10 standard. Very wise, very clever. You could have conversations of politics, anything under the sun with her. She was well read. She would read the newspaper from the beginning to the end. You could talk about politics, you could talk about books, you could talk about anything with her. She was good homemaker. She was a good mother. She was successful according to me. She was happy, successful. She did not work. She was not employed person. But in my yardstick of success, she was a very successful, well-adjusted person, incredibly at peace with herself and brought out the best in her. So definition of success can vary from different people to different people. I was telling you about my personal definition of success. And keep telling yourself, again, that's something I put from Three Idiots, all is well. Yeah, it helps. Questions. So this was my brief whistle stop tour of coping with failures. I have spent last week's presentation on many different things, and today's was a follow-on or a part 2. So people who attended last week will find that things were different, but today I have put different stuff today than what I did last week. If you have any questions, please feel free. You can even ask me about my work, the work which I do, or whatever. Thank you. Are there slides which you want me to bring back again?
Yeah, ma'am.
Is that Pradeep?
Yes, ma'am.
Which slide do you want me to bring back again?
Before one, ma'am.
The points to remember.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. My screen has frozen. Pradeep, you can ask me what you wanted to ask me on that slide. I'll try to answer in the best way possible. Hello, Pradeep.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, which bit did you want me to elaborate on?
The points, ma'am.
The points to remember: have goals, identify your strengths. I had put in one of the slides, hadn't I? If life gives you lemons, make a lemonade. In the sense, identify your strengths and work on your strengths. The other thing is hard work. There is no shortcut to hard work. And then definition of success. I have a different definition of success. You need to find out what you want to do with your life and how you define success. And cope with stress and don't allow stress to come in the way. The other thing is fall in love with your subject. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy your subject.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks, Pradeep. You can ask any other question too if you want to ask about my work, or I touched on many topics little by little, didn't I?
Yeah, your
Dyslexia,
topic was very nice, ma'am.
different kinds of intelligence. Sorry.
Your topic were very nice, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much, Pradeep.
I got more ideas to do. I got more ideas to teach others also.
Okay, good. Good, that's good. What do you do, Pradeep?
I'm studying in SSLC. I do social working.
Okay, wonderful. And where are you based? Where do you live?
I lived in also Sri Guru Harikrishnan High School I study.
Where is that?
In near to Alsur Lake, ma'am. Gurudwara.
That is Bangalore.
Oh, okay.
Bangalore.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
In
Hello.
my area, I teach people for free craft, things, all the hard working, how to be smart, hard versus smart work.
Pradeep, you'll do very well in life.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have a long way to go and you'll do very well in life.
Thank you, ma'am.
Priya has shared that last slide. She had taken a screenshot.
Okay, yeah.
Those who want to see can see this. And Clemmy has messaged in the chat also the points.
Okay.
She's
Thanks,
written-
Clemmy, and thanks, Priya.
What work you do, ma'am?
I work as a child psychiatrist. Like I work with children with the mental health issues from 0 to 18. The children are from 0 to 18.
Oh, like
So I
mentoring, you're
work
going to
I
mentor
work with,
them.
sorry?
You're going to mentor them. You're
Not
going to mentor them.
not mentoring. I treat people with illnesses. So I treat
Oh.
mainly people with schizophrenia, psychosis, depression, anxiety, OCD, ADHD, autism, that kind of a thing.
Nice, great, ma'am.
Thank you.
I know little about that. I have to learn more about it because it is very hard to just know about their knowledge and minds sets.
Yeah.
I'm learning from them little by little.
Good.
So
If you learn, it
our-
is like an enjoy. It is like an enjoyable game.
yeah. So
We teach others.
yeah, thanks, Pradeep. So Shyam, who is actually one of the founders of Greynet, he wanted to say a story or something. Yeah, Shyam, do you want to come?
Who advocate Shyam Kumar?
No, this is Greynet Shyam. He's from New York. He has come.
Hi, Dr.
Hello,
Sina.
Shyam.
Hi, nice
Hello.
to meet you. Hi,
Same here.
everyone. Nice to meet you. I thought like I'll just take 2 minutes. I don't know if you are planning to share the story, Sina. This is about a Hungarian shooter, right? Who had to face failure and then overcame the failure and achieved success in life. Do you want me to share the story? If you have plans to share it, I would rather.
No. Please go ahead, Shyam. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I'll just take 2 minutes. I think the story will be inspiring for you, and maybe you can share it. Like people like Pradeep, who wants to teach. Maybe you can share the story with others. This is about a Hungarian shooter, right? His name is Karoli Takas. Okay, so imagining a young man who's just like 23 years old, right? And he's enlisted in the Hungarian army as a sergeant. So, but he has a strength as he's a good shooter and he's a Hungarian national champion. So at age 23, he has his eyes set on 1936 upcoming Olympics. Okay, so he's trying for that 1936 Olympics, and as the Olympics approached, in Hungary there is a rule that you have to be an officer in the army to compete in Olympics. You cannot be a sergeant. A sergeant is a grade level, the officer, right? So officer rank. So the law says that you cannot compete because you're just a sergeant. So he's disappointed, right? And because he cannot compete, even though he has the skills, he cannot compete. And so 1936 Olympics, he was not able to compete, right? So he said, and after 1936 Olympics, Hungary changed the rule, said that, okay, no matter what rank you are, you can compete. So he said, okay, I have a chance now. 1940 Olympics, I can compete and I can win gold medal for Hungary, right? And in 1938, while on the battlefield, he met with an accident, and he had an explosive, it just went off while on the battlefield, and he lost his right hand. Okay, he cannot use his right hand. He was in hospital. He cannot use his right hand. So now it is 1938. In 2 years, 1940 Olympics is coming up, but he doesn't have the right hand now to shoot, right? So before the Olympics in 1939, he went for the Hungary national championship, and every shooter around there said, oh, we heard the news, we are sorry for you, you came here to watch, right? So Karoly Takács said that I'm not here to watch, I'm going to compete. How do you compete? I have my left hand. So he went into the competition with his left hand and won the gold medal as national champion. And now he has a chance, 1940, he can go to Olympics, right, with his left hand, right? So he worked hard, he used his left hand, trained secretly, and then he wants to go for the 1940 Olympics, right? So he's waiting for that. 1940 and 1944 Olympics got canceled. Do you know why? There was an event, historic event, which happened around that. Can anybody tell me what that event is? Why the Olympics was canceled?
World War II.
World War II, absolutely. Who said that?
Aryan.
Aryan, great. So 40 and 44, Karoly Takács is again disappointed because he cannot compete. Now his age is about 30, apparently, right? He's waiting with his left hand, he continues the training. So 40 and 44, he couldn't compete. Now 48, he got an opportunity to compete, right? So 1948, by that time, he's 10 years older, right? He already faced two adversities. One is the Hungarian law, and then the World War. And now his age is also against him, right? He's going to the Olympics, and there is the reigning champion Argentinian shooter. And that shooter was asking, like, why are you here with your left hand? You're fighting against me. So he said, Karoly Takács said that I'm here to learn, right? And when he won the gold and he was standing at the podium, Argentinian shooter who got the silver said, I think you learned enough, right? Because he already won the gold. So this was a story that, any adversity, if you set your eyes on the goal, like Dr. Sina was saying, you can achieve that goal. But the twist to the story is this Karoly Takács didn't stop there. So 1948, at the age of 33, he got the gold medal and he said, I want one more. So he went with his left hand, waited 4 more years, and he got the second gold medal. And that time he was 37. It's highly unlikely. He's like a veteran, right? He's competing against young people. So I always tell this story, the Karoly Takács stories. I think it's the most inspiring story. And if you like the story, people like Pradeep and pretty much everybody, I believe here, has a teacher in you. I would request you, if you like the story about Karoly Takács, please read it. It's all over the internet. Please read it and share it with others. And when they ask you how you heard the story, just tell that this is from the Coping from Failure class, and it's through GrainEd, and ask them to register for GrainEd. Thank you.
Thank you, Shyam. Thank you, Shyam.
Yeah.
It was nice to listen, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So any further questions? Anybody else? Any further questions from anyone?
Hi, sir. I am Aisha. This is my father's ID. So I have a question. I have been facing a kind of I've been through a very bad stage of my life for the past 2 years, and I'm planning on moving to a completely foreign country next month for my higher studies. I am still not over how I coped with it, and now I'm losing my confidence. I cannot back off from this plan now. How should I manage myself?
Are you going on your own or are you going with family?
I'm going on my own. It would be my
And
first flight in 10 years.
it's your first?
Flight, and I'm going alone. I do not have any of my friends with me, nor do I know anybody in the new country.
Yeah, these anxieties are normal. These are natural. But I believe that you'll be able to do it. There are so many people who fly in planes, don't they? Even old people who don't know the language, English. When I have flown in flights, I have seen people who don't even know to speak English flying in the plane, and they
Ma'am,
have someone to help you out. So you have the
uh,
language. Sorry?
I'm not scared of going on the flight.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
scared of living on my own because I have been in a hostel like for an year and a half, and I was bullied a lot. I went through a stage of depression and had relied on antidepressants pretty much for the 2 years. And I am at a stage that I'm coming out of it, but I'm not really sure. Um, I stopped taking medication for around 2 to 3 months, but I'm not really sure that I am, fit mentally enough to cope with all that stress, especially when I'm considering med school. But my parents took this big decision for me because um, I am really passionate about this field. I used to read a lot when I was a kid, so I have always wanted to be a part of the Red Cross. Though they don't support the idea of Red Cross, they thought doing medicine would sort of satisfy my hunger for this field. So, what do you think I should do?
I personally think you will be able to cope with the change, because sometimes your fears in your head are bigger than the actual situation. In your head, you make it bigger than it actually is. I was 28 years old when I came to the UK. I had left my son in India with my in-laws. I came on my own. It was a huge leap from a very protected environment to a new country. No friends, no family, had left my son behind for 2 years. And you can imagine, you just learn to survive. It is sink or swim, and you learn to swim. So I believe that you will be able to do it. Your worries are natural because you're going to a new country, you've stopped your antidepressants, you're not sure. That kind of self doubt is natural, but I believe you'll be able to. The fact that you have reached up to here after bullying and after all this, if you have reached up to here, you are a resilient person. You'll be able to surmount this too. You'll be able to get on. You'll make friends there in the new place. You're passionate about medicine, you said, so you're going to do a subject which you enjoy doing. So it'll be fine. There will be a few teething problems to begin with, a few hurdles, a few obstacles, a few road bumps. You need to surmount all that. You need to go through all that, but you'll be fine. Just trust me on this. You'll learn. You have it in you, Aisha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. It's about the friends thing that I am an extrovert to all those who know me, but I just don't really know how to connect. I told this problem with my to the person I was seeing, the counselor and the psychiatrist. He asked me to do this personality test, so I did one. So I don't know what this means, but the personality trait that it was giving me was INFJ, and I
So that
don't.
is in introvert. J is yeah. Which one did you do? Belbin's personality inventory, isn't it?
I don't really remember, man. I did it like around 6 months ago or something. But I tried a few different ones because I wasn't really in on the results. So, but I got the same result a few more times.
See, you said you're an introvert and you don't connect with people. I disagree with that. You have connected so well with me. I can't see you, but you are very articulate. Your English is good. You're self-aware. You're good, aware of your positives and negatives. You say you don't relate to people. You've related very well with me today. So I think you put yourself down more than you should. You have more strengths than you believe in yourself. The other thing I want to tell you is, have you heard of TED Talks? TED Talks
Yes, I
on
have.
the
Yes,
internet. There
I
are
have.
TED Talks, and there is a video called The Power of Introverts. It's a lovely video on the power of introverts. So introversion doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't. Everybody in this world is not extrovert. I'm not a party person. I'm not a wild partying kind of person. I'm an introvert. All my hobbies are solitary hobbies. I love gardening, stitching, embroidery, reading, films, painting. Every hobby of mine is a solitary hobby. I'm not a sporty person. I'm an arty person and an introvert, but that's fine. I recharge my batteries in silence. So it's not a negative point. Everything which you have can be converted into positive. So don't put yourself down. You said something to begin with, saying you're not very good at making friends, and I'm
I know
surprised.
I am good at making friends, but I have too many friends, but I don't really find them really good at communicating with them. I find it really hard to relate, but I pretend to be one among them.
May,
It's
may,
like I don't want to be out of a group, but I am.
perhaps you're an outlier because you're way too mature than them, and your thinking is way too advanced compared to them, and they may be into frivolous and flippant things, and you have a more serious way of looking at life. So maybe you'll find someone who's more suited to you, or perhaps you should look for um, people who are higher in age or older in age. Maybe they might be more suitable for you in friendships, more mature. You said you don't want to fall out of a group,
Ma'am,
hence you fit in.
I'm a teenager.
Yeah, but even
Yeah,
teenagers
I try to
can.
fit in with my colleagues.
Yeah, you told me that. You said because you don't want to
Yeah, ma'am,
be out
continue.
of the group, you try to fit in, but sometimes you don't connect with them. That's fine. Maybe you have you seen the film called Educating Rita, Michael Caine and Julie Walters? In that
That's the
film,
problem. I don't watch films and I don't use social media.
okay,
Um,
okay, no,
that's why you find it hard to connect.
um,
Yeah, in my
not
okay, ma'am,
necessarily.
continue.
Everybody doesn't have to. So, not necessarily. Everybody doesn't have to socialize through social media. I have people who are very good socially, very adept at interpersonal relationships, and very good conversationists, but they're not on social media. So it doesn't have to be through social media that you establish your friendships. It doesn't necessarily have to be through social media. You can have
Okay,
friendships even outside social media. Why do you not go into social
okay, I
media? Is
get
there
it,
a
ma'am.
reason?
Thank you.
Is there a reason you don't want to go into social media?
No, both my parents are engineers and my dad is from an IT field.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was young, around when I was in 5th grade, I asked because it was a trend to be in social media, and he said no. I didn't see why it wasn't. Then I didn't even think about it. Now I'm 18. I'm not really interested in social media, and when
Fair
my
enough.
friends talk about it, I find it really hard to relate.
Yeah, because you don't have a common topic of conversation, isn't it? The common topic of conversation is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you don't have that because you don't have that conversation topic because you're not on it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't watch movies. I'm not a movie fanatic. I don't use social media, so I don't know about much about it. And I'm interested in astronomy and psychopaths and psychopathy, and they call me weird.
You may have groups. See, on the internet, you may find groups which are for the kind of things you're interested in, and you can find people, like-minded people there. You name it and you'll find it there on the internet. So you may find an astronomy group interested in astronomy and like-minded people there. You might find a friend there.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
especially while moving to a different country, I am expecting to meet somebody like me.
Hmm.
You also paint, right, Aisha?
How do you know that, sir?
I know, yeah. So she has probably she's much more metal than maybe of her age. What's seen it? I've seen her works. She's very deep, very
Hmm.
strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very talented. Extremely talented. Yeah. Right.
Thank
I
you,
think.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I think probably you can talk to Sinchichi separately. Yeah. In a forum
Yeah,
like this,
yeah, yeah.
there are limitations of interactions, right? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay. No
you.
problem. Yeah. So I think we will stop at that point. It's almost 15 minutes more than our time.
Just one thing I want to tell the children before I leave. All of you be honest in your feedback to Satish, sir, because I will come to know how to manage my sessions in future. I do not know whether I'm pitching it at the correct level for you, whether it is too high, too low, correct. I've never done these kind of talks before. I treat children, but this kind of talks I've never done before. You're the first time, you're the first group I'm doing it to. So do give a feedback because I can change my sessions accordingly.
Yeah. I'll collect the feedbacks and pass it
Yeah.
on to you.
Thank
Okay.
you.